Dave, you can't even see my hair.
Oh, but we're live, Reggie.
All right.
I was going to say your hair looked a little. You better quick brush it. It looks like a little out of place. Oh, folks, here we are.
Everybody got jokes.
Everybody's got jokes.
Everybody got jokes. While I sit here with no hair, right? Yeah, everybody's got
But you have all the glamour. I'm just going to say.
That's right.
I'm just going to say. So.
Everybody's got jokes, but that's okay.
Hey, let's get serious real quick, though. Dr. Kimberly, can you believe we're halfway through Veterans Month already?
Whew.
How did that happen so fast?
You know, I'm still trying to figure this one out. That we only have 2 more guests left for the month. And so you fell right in the middle, Reggie, because
thank you.
You know, November 11th is where we celebrate all of our veterans who have served, and we take a moment just to say, like this, for our fallen soldiers, we usually do what we call the missing man table. It's one of my most favorite things to do. I know it might sound a little bit morbid, but just to take an opportunity to recognize, and I say that because this year, you know, the missing man table is personal because today marks 1 year since my father died, and he was a United States Army veteran. And so I take a moment to pause, and I salute my fallen veteran on today because he is missing from our table. But we want to say welcome. Today is Tuesday, November 16th, 2021, and you are watching Rolling on the Road with Dr. Kimberly and Dave. And because one day is just not enough to honor our veterans, we are honoring them every single Tuesday, all the way through the month of November. We started out with peer support through I would like to say, a civilian agency, Disability Advocates of Kent County. And then last week, we met with artist Pam Alderman, who is a Navy veteran wife. And she talked about, thank you, Amber. She says, we love and miss you, Granddad. Yeah. And so we had Pam, who is an artist who chooses to honor veterans through her art and was in Art Prize of 2021, which this time it was actually, people could attend. It wasn't virtual, but she was in the Veterans Park, which I thought was awesome. And it was called the Yellow Ribbon Project. So I wore my t-shirt because I got a little t-shirt, you know, for the project. And today we're in-house with peer support with Mr. Reginald Howard, who works at the Healthcare for Homeless Veterans located at 620 Commerce Southwest, and that's in Grand Rapids, Michigan, 49503. So you can see scrolling at the bottom, it has his name and where his office is. It has his email and a phone number where you can contact him. How you doing today, Reggie?
I'm doing great. How are you?
We're doing good.
Man, thanks for having me.
Oh, we appreciate it. You do so much for our veterans. I think just a few years back, I did do, wow, when you stop and think about all the stuff I do in the community, I don't always, that I did an event for veterans at United Methodist Community House, and Reggie showed up, talked about the services that the Healthcare for Homeless Vets provides. We also had food, clothing for veterans. We talked about how they could get their benefits. And my dad was there, and we all took a wonderful group picture. He's talking to somebody.
When you were doing your introduction, I was reflecting back on how big and powerful when I met your dad. It was like, I'm so glad I wasn't asking you for no date because I would hate to have to face him. He was just, he was just a strong man. You know, he was just a strong man that really brought joy to the room and lightened up the room. Wasn't it? You know, I felt like I was intimidated to almost take a picture with him because I thought, you know, he's like, sometimes you see people bigger than who they are, but, you know, you calmed it all down. But I'll never forget that day because you opened up a door for us to start having a dialogue and really moving forward as veterans, being able to veterans help veterans. You know, and you have always been a shining light that carried the torch for your dad that really kept veterans together, and I thank you for that also.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm sitting here looking at my my press release over here on the thing where we did the for female veterans. Our first time that we did the resource fair for female veterans down at the Healthcare for Homeless Vets. But how do your peer support services differ from what Disability Advocates of Kent County offers?
Well, one of the things that I do, I go out and meet the veterans where they're at. Mm-hmm. Even when they don't come to me, I go to them. I don't judge them. I don't put dago carrot in front of them. My first thing to do is to try to get them housed and off the street. And then from that point, with my job, I'm able to teach them how to grocery shop, show them how to catch the bus if they don't know how to catch the bus, and then even teach them how to set up their own apartment. And then I work with them with any, if they have any mental health challenges, I work with them. If they have any substance abuse challenges, I work with them. And one of the unique things about my job is that's what I'm paid to do. I'm paid to first care for that veteran at that veteran's lowest point. And my job is to make sure that that veteran knows that he is appreciated, or she, and that our care that's given from me is genuine and sincere. And I don't get a chance to go back and repeat the wrongdoing. So I always make sure I try to get it right the first time, because that first impression makes a whole difference in the direction that veteran may go. So I really pride myself on having this job as a peer support through the VA, because one of the things about a peer support job through the VA, you have to be a veteran. You have to be a veteran. And that's and the only thing that stands out different between me is I just get up every day thanking God that I'm able to do a job that I once was a homeless veteran. So I thank God being able to go back, and only way to pay people back for what was so freely given to me is to go back and help someone else.
So get into some of those details of the so like you say you meet veterans where they're at, so you are going out on the street.
Yeah.
And yeah, like how are you getting referrals and then finding folks? Talk about that initial contact with some of the folks who, you know, in this weather might be sleeping outside tonight.
And that's correct. So we have a partnership with Community Rebuilders, where if they encounter a veteran, they right away let us know. And we also have a connection with Mail Trotters encounter a veteran. They're supposed to call us and guide us and let us know that that veteran is there. And then what we do, if the veteran can't come to our office, I'll drive the Mail Trotters and pick the veteran up and transport them back to our office. And another thing is, if I'm driving down the street and I see a veteran that may not even be a veteran, say I see a person that has a camouflage backpack or have on some type of military clothing, I stop them and ask them if they're a veteran. Sometimes people say, yeah, I'm a veteran, but when we run through all the paperwork, they're not. But at least one of the other things is it's no wrong door at our office. If a person comes to our office and if they're doesn't matter how they're referred to us. Our first thing to do is to treat them as they are a veteran until paperwork comes back and says they're not. And then what we also do, then we reverse it.
Oh, you got muted there, Reggie.
Okay, you back? I think there's some homeless.
I'm sorry
veterans.
for the disruption.
Yeah, I think there's some homeless veterans that
I lost contact.
Yeah, you there?
Can you guys hear me? Wave your hand.
We hear you.
I can't hear you.
Uh-oh. Back to the, we can hear you, but you can't hear us.
Okay, what part did we leave off at?
Well, I want to say thank you so much for tuning in, Arnetta Cage and Tivia Best. Thank you so much for watching the show on today, as well as Amber, who is, just one of our regulars. You are watching Rolling on the Road with Dr. Kimberly and Dave. We are celebrating veterans all month long, every single Tuesday. And we are so honored today to have Mr. Reginald Howard, who is a peer support at the Healthcare for Homeless Veterans that is located at 620 Century Southwest, Grand Rapids, Michigan, 49503. He can be reached at, as we can see scrolling around the bottom, reginald.howard2@va.gov, and his number is 269. Okay, can I see that?
I am so sorry, I can't hear you.
832-2765. I'm trying to be cute today, Dave. I don't have my glasses on.
Oh, you still can't hear us, Reggie? Uh-oh. We have one-way communication.
Well, tell him go out and come back in like he did before.
All right, there he is.
There he goes. So, Dave, as we were talking earlier, we want to, while we honor, the life of my father, one of our guests that we had on, I want to say in the summertime, when we traveled to all the centers for independent living, and we want to take a moment to recognize her. Dave?
Yeah, Sarah Piercoski, who was the executive director at the Superior Alliance for Independent Living in Marquette, Michigan, passed away extremely unexpectedly. Yesterday was the date of her death. She had a stroke and a brain aneurysm, and just devastation throughout our network. I mean, she was only 41, and athlete, and just filled with life and passion and advocacy, and she's going to be greatly missed. And we definitely honor her as we honor many who have sacrificed for others.
Let me thank her, because I was gonna go glamping, and she was gonna assist with that. We do have a question, Reggie, and the question is: can you speak to the rejection you may have encountered while offering assistance to meeting veterans where they are?
Oh yes, I got a great one for you. I was going. It's a homeless park in Grand Rapids, and I was going through the park, and a veteran was. I didn't even know he was a veteran. He was just laid back on the camouflage backpack. And I walked up to him and I said, "Hey, are you a veteran?" And he looked at me, reluctant to give any information. Say, "Why? What do you want to know for?" So I gave him my card. I goes, "Hey, man, I help homeless veterans get off the street." And he goes, "Yeah, right, man. I'm a Vietnam vet. Nobody ever helped me." So he yanked my card out of my hand, and I went on about my way. About 4 or 5 days later, he came into our office. And when he came in and he told the person at the desk, "Hey, I got this card from this guy. I come down here to see what you guys are not going to do for me." and you know what? to this day, guess what? This guy's been living homeless for 7 years. For 4 years, the government had been looking for him. He got awarded 100% service connected and never knew it. So when he came into our office and they ran his name and stuff and found out, can you believe the change in his life? And can you believe now he has his own apartment, his own car. He's a dad back in his kid's life and everything. And he was living homeless in the park. And due to the fact the way Vietnam veterans was treated and the way he was treated in the past by the VA, he never wanted nothing else to do with him.
Yep.
You know?
I think that story is probably told more times than not, you know, where people said, you know, hey, guess what? I was treated poorly or I never got what I needed. So I just chose not to even be bothered anymore. So how are you able to go back and, you know, what if he had never come back in? Would you have gone back to the park? How does that work and what does it look like?
One of the best things about me is that I don't give up. I pursue them because I don't. This may sound sort of different, but it was an incident in Ben Harbor. In Ben Harbor, Michigan, we didn't have a good relationship with the veterans. Period, with the VA. So we had to stand down, and a lot of the African American men at Ben Harbor was like, "Hey, man, I don't know why you down here. You know, they're not. The VA does nothing for us down here in Ben Harbor,
right?
And you're selling out with them." So I took that back to my boss, and I told her, I said, "Hey, look, you guys expect me to go down here and do a job, so you got to go back and give them something." So we started doing housing in Ben Harbor, and veterans started to believe in it. You know, some of them see me and they be like, "Hey, man, hey, you know, I didn't like you at first because I thought you were a sellout." You know, they you know, all different other names. But a lot of them said, "Hey, man, I trusted you, and you know, you proved yourself right." So, you know, they you know, you just got to stay persistent with it. It's just like right now in Ben Harbor, I'm really got a push going for the VA to do a water drive, because our veterans shouldn't have to go without water or wait, because we have means to be able to transport cases of water down there to Ben Harbor. And so that's another one of the things on my mission that I'm on too, because I was one of the first ones to go down there to make them believe in the VA. And now I want the VA to continue to stand up and help them when they're in need. And that's the same way. There's a guy that's on the highway right now that I've been after this guy for like 3 years, maybe. And when I catch him out there again, he knows I'll throw him a pair of gloves or a hat or something because it's getting cold out. But he knows I've never given up. I've never given up. And I keep telling him, "Hey, when you're ready, I'm ready to help you."
So where did you grow up, Reggie?
The greatest city in the greatest state ever, Grand Rapids, Michigan. and so you know, another thing that I'm very proud of is that I get to come back home, because when I joined the Navy with a group of friends, and I came back home and 2 of my friends was homeless, and to be able to come back home and to help them get off the street. One of my friends was sick with diabetes, and when he encountered with me, he was in the hospital. He said, "Hey, man, I don't care what you do, Reg. If you tell me it's a good apartment, I'll take it." So he went from the hospital to his own first apartment, you know, and believing in my word. And that's just a great feeling. And to be able to come back home, and after going through addiction and being able to come back home and just be accountable to life, you know, and to be able to to be a big brother to my sisters and brothers, and to just be accountable, to be an uncle to my nieces and nephews, and to be a friend to some of my friends who are still hopeless is just a great thing to be able to come back home and do.
I agree. I like what you do, that when there are veterans who have encountered, a rough time or didn't have a great interaction with the VA, and they kind of work through that. I love how you would have veterans come and tell their stories, because there's somebody that has experienced what you experienced, but they came out on the other side. And the importance of knowing it may be bad tomorrow, but today, but maybe tomorrow it might be better. And there is somebody who got through this. You're not in it by yourself. So I love it. You've had, people with finances come in, or even car dealerships come. Hey, you need a car? Guess what? We got somebody that's not going to really.
And I think that's the journey part that we all enjoy together. When we see a person get their life back.
Oh no!
I got to the good part.
Reggie, technical difficulties again.
No.
Hello, no. Oh no, Mr. Bill.
Well, we are 21 minutes after the hour, and you are tuned in to Rolling on the Road with Dr. Kimberly and Dave. Our guest today is Reginald Howard, who is a peer support for the healthcare for homeless veterans. So if you are a homeless vet, please contact him, contact them. Trust, he's out all over the city.
And
he's about 6'1", 2.
And you see it, you hear it, and I'm going to start saying good things. I'm glad you're here to hear it, Reggie, that when you were talking about not giving up on that guy, you exude that's truthful, and that you have joy in continuing to reach out that hand. And it's just like, when you're ready to grab hold, here I am. I'm not going anywhere, and telling the stories of people that you've given that hand up to over and over and over. And that's just awesome. Meaning more and more veterans, helping them get back on a more positive path.
Thank you. I will continue to do that, because And I know Kim, but God has blessed my life. I never thought I could live. I never thought I'd be living like this. Kim motivated me into really not giving up, because I seen her not give up. But the greatest thing of it is, I never thought I could become a homeowner. I never thought I could be a loving husband, to be a truthful, God-fearing husband, to love my wife unconditionally. And for me to see what God done for me in my life, I wake up every morning ready to help someone, because I know it isn't easy all the time, but I know it's doable. And some days I have some aches and pains, but man,
I'm here to tell you.
Can you imagine people right now sleeping on Division Street and doorways? And when you look at it, and it just breaks our heart to just think about just some, and not even just our veterans, but just any human being. But when it comes to our veterans, the way some of them left their mom and dad, when we left, and our mom and dad said, you know what, I'll let the government have them, and then we come back and we're different, and some of our parents was like, that's not my kid. And for some of us, our parents prayed for us, but for some, their parents don't want anything to do with them. Or you have a kid, a man or woman that served this country, and they come back home and they're in their mom or dad basement, and they don't know how to get out. And their only way out is they take their life. You know, and then they don't realize how much it hurts us that that's a choice that they made, because somewhere down the road we missed the grip with them. You know, and it's just so sad that we don't think about loving and caring for our veterans as much as we should until somebody makes it important. So we have to make it important. People like what Kim does makes it important.
Yeah, because yeah, Reggie, Dr. Kimberly's heard me say this a few times, you know, as the long-haired guy on this call, you know, I'm usually not in favor of creating veterans. However, I believe that once a veteran is created, we have to be all in as a community taking care of veterans. And, you know, you mentioned the beyond crisis of veterans who are taking their own lives. And it's like, we go, oh, and it's like, no, I mean, how come those mental health services aren't available just through and through, and just the whole re-entry where it's just like, oh, you're discharged, see you, bye, go have a good life. And it's like, we're doing something wrong, folks, as a community. If again, the indicator is so many people taking their own lives. It just, yeah. If you were president for a day, Reggie, you know, what are some programs that you would add more resources to? Oh, he's frozen.
No. Well, we want to say hello to Jeff McCory, who just tuned in with us, who's watching. Thank you so much, Mr. Jeff McCory, for tuning in this afternoon. I think for me, if I were president for a whole day, I need a day, a week, you know, give me just a little bit of time, and they're gonna do everything I tell them to do. You know, it's one thing to say, okay, I'm gonna have this power, but if we were to have the power and they say, okay, well, we'll say yes to whatever you say for the next 24 hours as it related to programming for veterans, I think I would create that space for the females, because we don't have it. And I'm not just saying because I'm a girl, that's not it. I think that anybody who is disenfranchised, whether you're in the LGBTQ community, you know, you're African American, you're Asian. One of the things that I noticed being in the Navy is that anybody who was not of the Anglo sex, you know, Anglo, we didn't get those technical jobs. You know, we were put in the laundry, we were stuck cutting hair, you know, we were a boatswain mate, you know, well, you're just going to work on the general cleanup of the ship. Or you were, especially those who were of Asian descent, they were all placed in the kitchen. Oh, we know y'all know how to cook. I mean, seriously, I don't know what it looks like now when you join to say, hey, I have aspiration to become a doctor. I know one of the things they did not push us to become officers. You know, I would say open up more programming geared towards getting an education, because you can come into the military with no education, but having those education resources be available to you, and not just something that, oh, okay, you're going to pay into it. Like they'll tell you in a heartbeat to pay into that GI Bill, but never give you the opportunity to say, okay, I'm gonna go to school. And then when you get out, well, I'm sorry, you didn't use the money in you know, the allotted time, so you don't have that available to you, but y'all was taking out of my check.
Yeah.
You know, things like that. I think there needs to be an opportunity. I think they kind of do it, if you will. I know in my tenure, there were groups of us that, as laws or, you know, policies changed, you got to do different things. But I think Amber says, please promote the milkman. Oh, we got to tell you, that's an inside joke on one of our shows, where people get their information from, second cousin, twice removed mailman, and the milkman comes and tells you, did you know that they're giving out money to veterans now? It's like, who was that? Oh, it was the milkman. What do we know? Anyway, but I think helping us to transition better into civilian life and providing more opportunities, because a lot of people won't find the healthcare for homeless vets, nor will they find disability advocates of Kent County. So just making it, or even the invoke rehab, because if you don't have a service-connected disability when you get out, you're not going to know how to do that.
What is that process? So like when you're discharged, is there a ceremony, or do they just say, see you bye?
See you bye.
See you
bye. and that's one of the reasons, and like when Kimberly was talking about a resource, one of the things I'm really pushing for is to have like a veterans green room where it's not associated with the VA, but call it like a green room, but it's like a coffee shop. It's where any veteran can come and talk if they don't want to talk, if they just want to watch movies. But it's a place where they don't have to feel like they have to deal with a psychologist or anybody else that they don't want to deal with. But we work side by side with them. And then, like, say when a veteran is discharged from the military, they automatically get that address of a place to come to. And then what we do, we can help them reintegrate back into society, because what they have seen and what they've been asked to do, no one out here in the civilian world can really relate to it, because it does not coincide with anything that's asked upon people that live in this American society. And so that's one of the things that I wish was one of the services that somebody would build, a nonprofit building for veterans, just to be, because see, a lot of veterans want to get out and want to talk to you. They just don't want to feel like every time they say something is put into their computer and then they're labeled. They want to feel like, I can talk to you, but I don't want you the next time you're telling, or when I get ready to say goodbye, you say, hey, here's your prescription.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that we need to have the milkman. He could create it because he knows everybody, and he goes to everybody's house, and then you just come over there and have, a little cup of java with a little milk. And but on a serious note, women, we talk about that all the time, that there isn't a place for us to come back, because we don't have the same. I mean, you have issues and we have issues, but I think there just needs to be some gender specificity, and if you're not sure about what your gender is, there needs to be a place for that as well, to say, hey, this is what I mean, even a place just to unload. Because I think one of the things that was difficult for me was being in the Navy. It's a double whammy, because you're a city inside of a city. Because if you're on a ship, then you're in this ship you're not even connected to anybody that's even in your city, because you stay there, you live there, especially when you first come in. It's like you come on there and that's all you know. You're in a self-contained community that provides you with, 3 hots, a cot. They have movie night, they got popcorn, candies. I mean, whatever you need, you never have to step off the ship for it. And it's like you there for a whole 4 years, and now you have to get out. You don't know anything any differently, because when you come to civilian world, everything is so segregated. People have their own area, their own little population. It's not like you have a community that you can come to and say, wow, I can be a part of this. And even if you, let's say, had a family and you lived in base housing, well, guess what? At the VA base, where I was, it was self-contained as well. It had 2 churches, it had daycare, it had a commissary, it had a McDonald's. So who needed to leave the base? So I left from one community, that was secluded on a ship, to I drive a half a mile to base housing, and then that's all I know are just those that are in that community. I think there needs to be a dialogue around the family members and community what to really is on the returning. Oh yeah, that's a good question. We got a comment here. I was gonna kind of wait for him to come back, but I think that was the biggest thing. I mean, even my children, all they knew was the base. All the kids that they played with, all they talked about whose dad was on what ship, and we were just fully inundated with nothing but a military life, and never had to see any civilians. I think that's a shock in and of itself, that you don't see anybody else other than those that are in uniform for 4 years, or maybe it's 6 years for you, or 8 or 9 years, that you're in this secluded community and that's all you know. And you come out here and it's like, oh, y'all don't like each other? Y'all don't work together.
Oh, now you're frozen, Doctor. Oh, there you go. Hey, Reggie, I got to go back to a question that I wanted to ask before you froze up. If you were president for a day, what would you do for veterans? What are the 1 or 2 things that are at the top of your pile? Oh, he's not hearing us again. If you were president. Today. Oh.
Now we can't hear him either.
Now we can't hear you, Reggie. The VA needs to get you a better computer connection.
Well, we do. We have a comment that says, I think I'll put it up here. Can you read that? I think there needs to be more dialogue around the family members and communities on what to realistically expect for the returning veteran.
Yeah. And the community, and I asked about a ceremony because I had heard a story of, at the end of the Second World War in Japan, they created a ceremony to welcome the veterans home, like to thank them for their service, and to basically say, we don't need you to be a warrior anymore. Because it's like, as you're saying, I mean, you are like, if you're on that ship, you're in that combat zone, you are there and you're all focused, all that energy. And like, how do you turn that off? And even that ceremony didn't have any magic in it. However, at least it was that recognition that, again, thank you for your service, and you don't need to be a warrior anymore. And how to honor that. And then it is, as Amber pointed out, the need for us to, okay, how do we help a warrior make that transition? And because the men and the women in service, they're warriors, right? You are prepared to shoot guns and things like that, drop bombs.
Shayna, we want to say thank you so much for tuning in, who's all the way in Bel Air, Maryland. She said, that was a good point, Mr. Dave, to talk about the programming. And she is just expressing the sadness that some of the veterans, experience. I think that it really started with the Vietnam War. When they came back, everybody was kind of coming into themselves. I mean, here we are going through the 60s and the 70s, with Martin Luther King, and then they're coming back from Vietnam. Let's see if we can do this. Let's try to add him in again. Okay, he's not connected. There we go. Add to stream. You there?
Reggie.
He's not.
Still not hearing us. We see your ear, but we don't hear you.
Oh.
Oh, there's Purple.
Purple said he can't hear you either. Somebody's at the door. Maybe they're bringing the dry cleaner back. I don't know.
Oh.
Okay, so he's gone. Hello.
We're going to keep figuring this out here, folks. Sorry, the technical difficulties in our world of wizardry.
And then Purple's like, yeah. So I think he's going to a different spot. Is that going to be helpful?
Oh, try and take. Oh, maybe not.
Is it working?
Oh. He disappeared. So
we're not sure.
Are there other things happening this month, Dr. Kimberly, for veterans? Are there any
well, they've had the parades and the free meals. So, it only lasts like a day or so, and then they're done.
Right. Any like at the parades and such, are they giving out like information to get a hold of Reggie, us at Disability Advocates, VA? Just not enough. Oh, that purple is today, folks. We are filled with dogs and technology.
Technology, yeah. But I always love it when I have to call in places and I hear their dog in the background. I'm like, yes, it's just not me. They're like, I'm so sorry. I'm working from home. And it's always the little dogs that are making a lot of noise. My big dogs are quiet.
That's the beauty of life. Reggie, are you with us? Still no audio on your end. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Well, and Dr. Kimberly's working on purple, and everybody's muted. I just have to go on a monologue here.
He's just, I don't have anything to throw to him. He's found sanitizer to chew up and a ball and a blanket.
At least he won't get COVID, right? As he's chewing his sanitizer.
I think he was listening to Trump on that one.
Hey now.
So my dog pays attention.
Reggie, as you keep working through that, and Dr. Kimberly, you're telling us of some parades and one-day affairs, but nothing.
Well, actually, yeah, everything is done. That's the unfortunate part. And why we chose to do this whole month is because there's only one day that's dedicated.
Right. Uh-oh.
We've only got a couple of minutes left of the show.
Oh, Reggie, we're gonna have to get you back on when you have a more stable internet connection, and Purple's out back, and so we'll because even though we are focused on veterans in November, we do bring veterans on the show with regularity because Veterans Day is a day, Veterans Month is a month, but all year long there's people in need that need to be connected to the resources that exist for veterans, for people with disabilities, for seniors. Keep asking for help. It just came to mind. If you're a student with a disability, make sure you're getting connected to your disability services. Ask, because we've got to, yes, we will have you back again, Reggie. I see your chat. We will have you back.
We'll do this again. we'll see what your availability is, and get you on back here so that we can talk a little bit more about the services. Oh, and he's gone. All righty. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to Rolling on the Road with Dr. Kimberly and Dave. Next week, we will have Heidi Zeller, who's going to talk about what it was like to be in the LGBT community while on active duty, and what it has been like for her now as a veteran and services that have been provided. So we're so excited for next week. And to cap it all off, we will have the Michigan Veterans Affairs Director, Ms. Danetta Adams, will be our guest, and she'll close it out for the month of November for us.
Awesomeness. Thank you, Dr. Kimberly.
Thank you, Dave.